War drives 35,000 divorces in Sudan as economic pressure tears families apart. Around 35,000 divorce cases have been recorded in Sudan since the outbreak of war in April 2023, according to sources in the Sudanese judiciary who spoke to Sudan Tribune, in what social researchers describe as an unprecedented social rupture driven by economic collapse and family displacement. Family sociology researchers attribute the sharp rise to the radical shift in economic and social roles imposed by the conflict, including the loss of savings and jobs by breadwinners and a near-total suspension of salaries for more than 3 years. Khartoum State led all regions in divorce petitions, cold cases, and alimony claims, followed by Jazeera State and then the 5 Darfur states. High rates of divorce and alimony claims were also recorded in the courts of River Nile, Northern, Red Sea, Gadaref, and Kassala states, areas that have received large numbers of displaced families from Khartoum, Jazeera, and Darfur. The war has placed men under enormous pressure due to their inability to meet basic family needs, whether in displacement shelters or in the high-cost rented accommodation of stable states and neighboring countries. Recent UN data indicate that women and girls account for more than 53% of the millions displaced internally and externally since the war began, making them the group most exposed to the consequences of fragmentation and displacement. UN Population Fund reports show that more than 4.2 million women and girls in Sudan are in urgent need of protection and care services due to increasing gender-based violence and the economic pressures resulting from family breakdown in displacement settings. International data show that approximately 1 million displaced women have suddenly become sole household heads, following the death, separation, or displacement of their husbands to other states, leaving them with the double burden of providing food and financial security for children in environments ill-equipped to support them. Civil Aviation Authority orders grounded aircraft out of South Sudan. The directive was issued by the National Aviation Regulator in a statement released on Monday, June 1, 2026, in which the regulator reminded aircraft owners and operators that planes grounded over safety deficiencies, airworthiness concerns, or certification issues cannot remain indefinitely within the country's aviation system without corrective action. The South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority, SSCA, has ordered owners of grounded aircraft to remove them from the country or dispose of them in accordance with national aviation regulations, in a tougher stance on aircraft deemed unsafe or non-compliant with certification requirements. The directive was issued by the National Aviation Regulator in a statement released on Monday, June 1, 2026, in which the regulator reminded aircraft owners and operators that planes grounded over safety deficiencies, airworthiness concerns, or certification issues cannot remain indefinitely within the country's aviation system without corrective action. All aircraft owners and operators whose aircraft have been grounded due to safety deficiencies, airworthiness concerns, or certification issues are asked to leave South Sudan or dispose of such aircraft in accordance with applicable South Sudan Civil Aviation Regulations 2026, the authority said. The announcement comes amid renewed public debate over the status of aircraft belonging to South Supreme Airlines, whose management recently suggested that the company's fleet could soon return to service after more than a decade of inactivity. In its statement, SSCA rejected suggestions that South Supreme Airlines have been cleared to resume flight operations, saying information circulated by the airline's management on social media was inaccurate. According to the regulator, the airline's aircraft were grounded following safety-related findings identified during regulatory oversight and compliance assessments conducted by aviation authorities. The operations of South Supreme Airlines planes were suspended due to safety-related concerns identified during regulatory safety oversight and compliance assessments, the authority said. The regulator stressed that any access granted to South Supreme management was limited to securing and managing company assets and equipment and did not constitute permission to restart operations. No authorization was granted by SSCA for the airline to resume or conduct flight operations until all identified safety concerns have been satisfactorily addressed and approved by the authority of the State of Registry, the statement added. The clarification follows remarks attributed to South Supreme Airlines Chief Executive Officer I.E. Duong I.E., indicating that the airline's aircraft could soon return to the skies after 13 years on the ground. SSCA also dismissed claims that one of the airline's aircraft had been struck by bullets while parked, saying no official report or supporting evidence had been submitted to the authority for investigation. The authority has no official report, evidence, or documentation concerning such an incident, it said. South Sudan's aviation industry has long faced scrutiny over safety standards, with several aircraft operators experiencing suspensions or operational restrictions over regulatory and technical concerns. The latest directive also follows the suspension of CityLink Aviation in May 2026 after a plane operated by the airline crashed and killed at least 14 people on board.